Zoo Mama! How's it going, everybody? I'm here today to talk about the newest Season Pass card coming to Marvel Snap starting February 6th. We will have the new season where Black Swan, a 3-cost, 5-powered card with the on reveal ability that until the end of next turn, your 1-cost cards cost 0. Okay, she's a new Season Pass card. If you do buy the Season Pass with real money, you will get her. If you skip on it, she'll become Series 5 in the following month. Okay, so you'd have to wait a month to get her. We also have Supergiant coming the first week, but I will have a separate video for Supergiant and that Spotlight Cash. So today I'm just going to be talking about Black Swan, give a few deck examples of what I will be trying her out in and where I think she fits, and then I'll just give my overall review and prediction of how good or not I think she will be. Now, it is important to note that she was previously data mined as a 2-cost, 3-powered card with the same ability. Okay, so same ability, but her cost went up by 1 and her power went up by 2. And I actually think she is a little bit worse now, especially in the home that I originally envisioned for her. So let's go ahead and look at these 3 different decks that I've put together, and then I'll just give my final thoughts on where she fits in. So Black Swan obviously synergizes with 1-cost cards because she makes them completely free on the next turn. So my initial thoughts were Zoo and Thanos, and I said, why not both? Okay, so I've put Black Swan in this Thanos Zoo list. So all of the Infinity Stones will become free if you play Black Swan on the previous turn. And then also we've got a couple other 1-cost cards in here, such as Forge, Spider-Pam, Iceman, and Nico. And Nico works really, really well with the Infinity Stones. Okay, we do have Bishop. He'll take advantage of all these free cards, and so will Hitmonkey. Okay, if you can just slap down a lot of cards on one turn. So Black Swan is nice here. You can play her on turn 3 or even 4 if you wanted, but you can also slap her down on turn 5. And if you did that, you could go for a really big turn 6 with Hitmonkey, like I mentioned. But you could just go more Zoo style with Khazar, Blue Marvel, have the stones down. We've got Goose in here as a bit of tech against more expensive decks. So I think this is like a pretty straightforward deck to try out with Black Swan because there's just so many 1-drops. You do need a lot of targets for her. Okay, if she's only giving you like 1 or 2 discounts, I'm not sure it's worth it. I mean, 3-5 is a good stat line, but you know, she does take up space in your deck. And with the Infinity Stones, some of them will draw cards, so you don't want to play all of them on the final turn. So you might actually want to pop out Black Swan on turns 3 or 4. Okay, maybe you do a turn 3 Bishop, turn 4 Black Swan, turn 5 Blue Marvel plus 1-cost cards, something along those lines. You could even play Black Swan before Bishop and it's still okay. And you know, we'll see how a deck like this does, but I think Thanos Zoo is already okay. So I think you should be able to get a lot of power on the board, and having free 1-cost just means maybe you can surprise your opponent a bit more. The next deck I've put together is a Thanos Destroy. So we are keeping the theme with Thanos because he just gives so many 1-cost cards to our deck, and that's basically needed for Black Swan, and we're putting it in this Destroy list. So Thanos Destroy is a thing. It usually doesn't see too much play, but every now and then you will go ahead and see it. So you can play a bunch of 1-cost cards, hit him with Killmonger, and then you have a free death, okay? And with Black Swan, you can just get up those 1-cost cards a bit earlier. If you did Black Swan on 3, you could play multiple 1-cost cards on 4 alongside Miss Marvel or Iron Lad. So you're able to get these 1-cost cards down without messing up your curve, and that will just be really nice. We also do have Blob in here. He's been nerfed, but he's still pretty strong. And with Thanos, you're going to have a lot of cards in your deck, so Blob will still get really big here. So I'm definitely going to try this one out. I think it can add a lot of power. And last up, we have a non-Thanos deck. We're looking at a Black Swan bounce list. Now, this was the original home that I liked for Black Swan when she was data mined as a 2-3. I do think she would have been better here as a 2-cost card because you could have played her on turn 2, played a bunch of 1-cost cards for free on turn 3 alongside Beast, and bounce Black Swan back, play her again on turn 5, okay? To do that now, you have to Black Swan on 3, play your 1-cost cards and Beast on 4, and then play Black Swan again on turn 5, if you did bounce her back. But basically it means if you want to play Black Swan twice, you need to get her on exactly turn 3 and Beast on exactly turn 4, and then Black Swan again on turn 5. So it's just a bit more specific. She is less flexible. Again, she has 5 power on the board, but 3 cost cards kind of have a bit more competition. But I still like this deck. I think Bounce is pretty strong. We do have Shang-Chi and Enchantress in here alongside Zabu to counter our opponents. And Werewolf by Night is going to be really good with these 1-cost cards. I mean, even if we saved Black Swan for turn 5, on turn 6, we can just make Werewolf go back and forth, and we could even play Hit Monkey that turn if we'd play Werewolf earlier. So, really good possibilities here. Again, if you have Zabu down, you can play like Hit Monkey and Shang-Chi, for example, on the same turn alongside 1-cost cards. And that's really unique. That's something, even a card like Sarah can't make your 1-cost cards free. So turn 5 Black Swan is a bit unique in that sense. And I think she works well in Bounce. We'll have to see how this list does. So to give my final review of Black Swan, I do have my little star rating system here out of 4 stars. I also had a little guide here. A 1 star would be bad for the category. 2 is okay, decent. 3 is good, feels nice. And 4 would be amazing or borderline OP. So in terms of being fun, I think it's good. I think it's similar to Sarah where, the turn she comes down, nothing happens really. But following that, you can get some really crazy combos off and just things that no other card can do. Okay, there's no other card that can make your 1-cost cards free except for Loki, but he's copying your opponent's stuff, so you're not guaranteed to get a bunch of 1-cost cards. So Black Swan is really unique in that sense, and I think the decks that she can be a part of are going to be pretty fun. So that's why I give her 3 out of 4 stars on fun. I think she's worth trying out, regardless of how strong she is. I think she's just going to be nice to play, okay? And there's stuff you can experiment with her. In terms of being flexible, I'm giving her 1 star out of 4. I think her flexibility is bad. Thanos and Bounce. I mean, that's the 2 lists I came up with. I did come up with a normal Thanos, or a Zoo style, and a Destroy list. You could even try Lockjaw, but you're really tied to Thanos. In order to get value from Black Swan, I think you need a lot of 1-drops. I don't think you can just have like 2 1-cost cards in your deck. I think you're gonna need at least 4. I mean, 3 you can get a little bit of value, and maybe Black Swan being a 3/5 is good enough for that to just get a little bit of 1-cost value. But some Zoo decks, the problem isn't the energy, the problem is board space. I mean, if you've ever played a Zoo deck, like pure Zoo, your board just gets full, and especially if the locations are hard to play on or add cards to your side, it's really tough. You often have extra energy, but not enough board space. So Black Swan doesn't help out that board space aspect, okay? And that's why I think Bounce might be kind of good, because you can bring stuff back to hand. So flexibility, I do think she's tied to Thanos and Bounce. Maybe people come up with something else, but also her being moved to 3 costs hurts her flexibility a bit. In terms of being competitive, I think she's okay. I don't think she's great. When she was a 2-cost card, I thought she might be a little too good in Bounce, because again, you could have played her on 2, bounced her back right on 3, and then played her again on 4 or 5, whatever you choose. And so now it's just hard to play her twice. You're pretty much gonna play her once. And in that case, she does get countered by the same things that Sarah does. She gets countered by Mobius. Before, if you played her on turn 2, she couldn't have been countered by Mobius. Now, if they play Mobius the same turn, she did nothing. But she is a 3/5 that is decent stats, so even if her ability proves to be pretty weak and just not that impactful, her being a 3/5 just puts her at okay. She doesn't have bad stats. She'll always contribute a little bit of value, so I don't think she's a horrible card, but I'm just not excited for her as much as I was beforehand. Now, with all that being said, not only could I be wrong, but she is a Season Pass card, and the Season Pass is the best thing to buy value-wise with actual money in Marvel Snap. So my thoughts on Black Swan are, if you usually buy the Season Pass, go ahead and pick it up. If Black Swan is a little weak, then Second Dinner might just buff her. I mean, we've seen them recently. If a card comes out too weak, they just buff it almost immediately. Okay, you look at Hercules, you look at Gladiator, Martyr, Lady Deathstrike. They've really been trying to make all cards at least playable and seem okay, seem decent. So if she's too weak, she might just get buffed right away. And I don't think she's going to be too strong, but maybe she's a bit better than I'm giving her credit for. But being a season pass card, if you get the season pass, go ahead, keep getting it. She is pretty fun, and the season pass is just good value. If you don't buy the season pass normally, I don't really think Black Swan is a good reason to start. If you only buy the season pass when there's a really good season pass card, I would wait and see how Black Swan does before you go ahead and buy that. Okay, so I'm giving the green check mark from the perspective of someone who normally buys the season pass. But if you don't, I would wait and see. So those are my thoughts on Black Swan. Let me know what you think of her in the comments down below and what type of decks and combos you're excited to play her with. And until then, stay positive. I'll see you next time.